We'd love to get your feedback on the show. Or if you have any upcoming events in your faith community, please contact Doug Croden by emailing doug@anchorvideo.com or calling 519-685-8982. If you'd like to view any of our past programs, check out the video archives at lifeandfaith.ca. And for those with mobile devices, you can also connect from here to our new YouTube site. Judith Gilloland has been with the London Conference Office now for just about a year. Her role as Congregational Development Minister has required flexibility and a lot of listening. Judith has spent a lot of time providing caring support to congregations which are undergoing change in a fast-changing world. We went to talk with Judith recently to explore her role with congregations and find some measure of the directions that the United Church in southwestern Ontario might be taking.
Judith, you've been in this new position for just about a year now, I think, isn't it?
Just about, yeah.
What have you learned?
What have I learned is how much I don't know.
Oh,
right.
The more you learn,
the more you learn. And I've learned also that that I think in some ways we had an idea of what the focus would be, and that I would probably pick up from Bev and carry on with some of the formats that she followed with her presentations, and have done that, and I think that's working out well, but also finding that there's probably a different direction for me to go in, because the times have changed, or the congregations are now changing, and even their perspectives. It's no longer so much about just how do we survive.
Well, my perspective, my looking at the United Church in London Conference is that a lot of congregations have closed.
Yes.
And is your work now becoming, what's the word? Oh, darn. The word palliative care for congregations?
No, and I'm thankful for that.
Okay.
That's not what I'm being asked to do. I'm actually being invited to go and speak with congregations that are saying, we don't want to close, and we want to explore alternatives. And so the emphasis is on the alternative models of being church. Models, though, that have been more organizational and structural than in terms of the focus of being church. And I make it very clear that when I go out, I'm not about closing congregations.
That's good to make clear, because I think it could be misunderstood.
Yeah, it's not my interest at all.
Well, I don't blame you. So the job was one way, the vision is becoming something else, but you're working with congregations really to help them find a new path.
Right. And I think that what Heather and I have been talking about is that whether the emphasis should be so much on these alternatives, like I talk about circuit riding ministry, shared ministry, partnerships, sharing space with other groups and organizations, or and use examples such as Canadian Memorial out in BC that share space with the Centre for Peace. Toronto, St. Paul's Wesley share space with the Centre for Faith and the Arts, I think it is. Okay. And then others that share, there's a church in Kitchener or Waterloo that shares their space with a Jewish synagogue. So I talk about those possibilities, and what amalgamation is and what absorption is. That's being absorbed.
Well, that's a term I haven't used about absorption. What's that?
Well, that's that. In some ways, that's when you have a larger church and you have a smaller church, and they think they're amalgamating, right?
Okay.
But they really and in an amalgamation, both congregations lose their identity. They both are supposed to die in that sense and come together to birth something new with a new name, with a new focus. And so when they come together and they don't do that, where you end up with one maintaining the dominant identity, they've absorbed the other into them. Not a bad thing, just a different.
It's just
approach.
a reality, isn't it?
Yeah. And that and the smaller congregation gains through that process as well, and they're quite prepared to do that.
I think it's really good that you help a congregation see the reality of what they're doing, so that they're not going in with some sort of a misty-eyed view, but they're saying this is what's going to happen and this is how it can work. But it sounds like you're working on models of ministry and not just worrying about bricks and boards.
Yeah, and it's actually those models, I think, are a way of being church in terms of how you can go forward, right? And as a unit. They're not so much on ministry, I don't think, and that's where what I'm trying to explore right now is that my sense is that, and I say this when I'm talking to groups, is that I can talk about all these models, offer you all these different kinds of models, that, but they won't mean a thing if you don't do the hard work around faith, right? And so I'm talking and exploring right now, but maybe the alternatives that we should be focusing on are what are we about in terms of being missional, being discipleship, being traditional, and those kinds of models of churches, and inviting congregations to think about that. You can be a circuit riding ministry and be missional. You can be an amalgamated congregation and be missional. But if you don't. But if you don't look at who you are in terms of your relationship with God and your faith, what does it matter what model you're not going to keep on going, because ultimately it's got to be founded in your faith.
Well, that's a wonderful. I think that's the way it should start. Yeah. Isn't that where churches start? Is a church is built first upon its faith, and then all the other things like bricks and boards and models come secondary.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a new approach. What you've got there.
Well, I think form follows function. Right?
Okay.
I mean, this is an architectural, a designer's approach. Right? You determine what your function is, and then you create the form in which to hold that, make that function come alive. So why not, if we're going to look at new forms of church, why wouldn't we first look at what the purpose is, what the function is of church?
Now, you've had some chance to work with some congregations and to see some of this in action. What's your view? What do you see?
Well, I think most of the people that I talk to, because the people that come out to these, and I do workshops, so I don't get to do the follow through on that. That's presbytery work, right? I get invited by presbytery or by congregations to come and do a workshop, and then the presbytery carries forward the work with them in terms of visioning for the future.
Well, now that you've got a chance, and as we said back at the beginning, you've been here a while, you've got a feel for the position, what is the advice you would give congregations that are contemplating some change, that either through amalgamation or just feeling the doldrums of existence? If they're feeling this or they're looking around at lack of numbers, what would you say?
Well, I'm thinking, I have to go back to what I was just saying, is that I really would invite them to first of all start with their faith. Start with who they believe God is calling them to be. Who do they relate to? Who are they? God's people. And what does that say to them? To really do that work, and then to come into the process of looking towards change for the future in terms of that faith, rather than in terms of a fear of closure or a fear of diminishing finances. Or, and I'm not sure what Betsy would have said, but a fear of that the youth, just go get us more youth, and that they'll be the future of our church. And I tend to tell them, no, I don't think the youth would be the future of your church, because they'd be here already.
Yeah. So this is exciting stuff for you.
It is, and it's all evolving. It's all developing, and so it's really very much for me an exploratory.
You must be very busy.
Seem to be. I just I look at my calendar up there and I think, oh yes, well,
your whiteboard says there's lots going on.
Someone phones and says, can you come out? And I say, well, so I'm right up. I've even got October.
Yeah, we're talking in April and you're booking in October. Mm-hmm, yeah. So obviously the congregations, the people, the presbytery feel the need.
Oh yes, I think they feel a need, and they need some help with the process. Some of them we did a workshop, went to do a workshop a couple of weeks back, and found out that they'd been to 4 or 5 of these kinds of workshops over a period of time, and they didn't really want to hear from me about alternative models and because they'd already heard that. They had the rebirthing book. They'd had Bev, so I'm standing there thinking, okay. So we fold it up and we say, well, fine, what will we talk about then? What is on your heart?
Yeah, what's in your heart? That's the important word.
And so there we went. And that was a good learning for me as well, because I can be asked by a presbytery to come and do a piece of work, and they think that this is what's needed. And when you get there, the congregation says, not quite what we were hoping for.
You must have to be very flexible.
You do, yeah. But that's a learning, and the just that process itself was a learning, because that's what I had the gentleman who said, like it's about faith, of the faith formation that they're feeling a loss of.
I think you have a fascinating job.
It is, yes. Contrary to what Betsy said, it's the best job.
Okay, thank you for sharing your time with us, Judith.
Well, thank you, Matthew.
All right, God bless.
Thank you for watching today and being part of the Life and Faith family. Please join us again. And remember, you can always visit us on the web at lifeandfaith.ca. We do appreciate your support of local television programming. Have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.